The saga is finally over. Shemar Stewart and the Cincinnati Bengals have agreed on a deal, and he soon will be practicing with the football team. Welcome into Bengals Breakdown. I am your host, Stone Shields. Welcome into this at-home edition of Bengals Breakdown, and that, of course, is going to be the focus of today's show. Shemar Stewart, the deal is finally done. The saga has come to an end, and we can finally put this nightmare of a situation behind us in the rearview mirror, and hopefully Shemar Stewart can get going with the team and prove why the Cincinnati Bengals selected him so early in the first round, and he can blossom into a great player and a great rookie player as well for Cincinnati. We're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about Mike Hilton a little bit and the Lucas Patrick injury from yesterday. That's all coming up here on today's show. But before we get into that, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. That's youtube.com/Bengals TV. We'll have you covered all throughout training camp, all throughout the preseason, and the regular season, of course, as well. Goal is to try to get to 20,000 subscribers here before preseason week 1, so a little bit less than 2 weeks in order to make that happen, but we're making good progress, and we got you covered with all the latest Bengals news, rumors, injury updates, you name it, we got it. Here at the channel, so help us out, help yourself out as well by hitting that sub button for me right now. All right, so the deal is 4 years, $18.97 million for Shemar Stewart. That is official, and the big question probably, if you haven't found out already, is, okay, what happened in order for these two sides to reach an agreement? Well, Cincinnati didn't blink. They never blink, especially in these situations, especially after what you heard from Shemar Stewart, where he basically chastised the team and the organization as some guy that had never played it down for him. So after he made those comments, there was really no chance that they were going to budge. So to be clear here, the Bengals are getting their way. All right, that new language that were trying to implement in the contract of Shemar Stewart, that language is in the contract that they agreed to. And just a refresher once more, basically that is saying that his guarantees can be defaulted essentially, if there's a violation from Stewart, whether it be a non-football injury or he's doing something he's not supposed to be doing, or criminal activity there as well. So nothing crazy that Cincinnati was asking for. Teams around the league have this language. It is not uncommon whatsoever. It was just the fact that Miles Murphy and Amarius Mims didn't have this language in their deals that kind of had Stewart and his team a little bit frustrated, bent out of shape, you could say, and ultimately the reason why they didn't want to sign that contract. But the Bengals were willing to make a bit of a change as far as a compromise, I guess you could say, for how his contract would go. And we will talk about that here in a second, but do want to get to the pinned comment of today's show. The saga is finally over. What is your one-word reaction to Cincinnati and Shemar Stewart finally agreeing to terms? My one-word reaction is simple: finally, right? Unfortunate that it took this long. Unfortunate he wasn't able to go through mandatory minicamp and miss the beginning of training camp and all that, but it's finally over. Give me your one-word reaction in the comments section of today's show. So, Kelsey Conway of the Inquirer reported that the Bengals were willing to make compromises, and that made Stewart and his team a little bit more willing to make compromises of their own, ultimately, and that's what resolved this situation between the Bengals and Shemar Stewart. But they're going to give him an extra $500,000 up front, so it's no more guaranteed money. They're not paying him more, but they're giving it to him earlier. That amount wasn't set to hit until December. Now he gets it immediately at signing. So that was kind of the compromise there for Cincinnati. And I don't think it's that big of a deal. There's been rumors about whether or not that had been offered a long time ago or whether that was kind of a new offer. Originally, I don't think Cincinnati was making an offer like that early on. Of course, that's what they're doing for Demetrius Knight Jr., but I think they were frustrated with Stewart, and that wasn't an offer until recently. But ultimately, they decide to do that, and he gets that money up front, and I guess that was enough for Shemar Stewart and his team to realize, okay, let's do this. And I think also, too, they were just realizing that, okay, Cincinnati's not going to budge, and the fact that they're giving us this bit of a compromise, maybe we should just agree to this and do the things we're supposed to do, not get in trouble off the football field, and ultimately that will resolve the situation for Shemar Stewart and the Cincinnati Bengals. So at long last, it is agreed upon. The Bengals are off today here on Saturday. They will be out there tomorrow. I would anticipate Shemar Stewart be there. There's been no report that he definitely will or definitely won't be, but if he's agreed a deal, And, they got a training camp practice tomorrow on Sunday. I fully expect him to be there and be a participant. And it's going to be really interesting to see how this whole situation progresses with Shemar Stewart, right? Is he going to be a guy that they can start opposite Trey Hendrickson, assuming Trey Hendrickson is with the football team? Or is this a guy that, he's not going to be ready to be out there frequently on the football field during the regular season if he's a guy that can only play certain downs, certain situations when it's obvious pass rushing situations? I don't know. We will find out. But I think the goal for Cincinnati is that he can start and that Demetrius Knight Jr. can start as well. And then on the offensive side, Dylan Fairchild can start. So I think that's the plan for Zach Taylor, Duke Tobin, and company. And of course, the coordinators and assistant coaches, I think they would like to see their first 3 draft picks all be starters for Cincinnati in 2025. But we will see. It's a good thing that this is happening now. Is it still way too late in the ball game? Yes. But there's still time before the first preseason game. If this is something that had been agreed to around the first preseason game or after the preseason game, would be more of an issue. But you have a little bit of time here to get him with the team, kind of get his feet wet a little bit and see what you have in him. But he's a guy that's going to have to play a lot in the preseason as well. And we're going to find out what exactly he can do for this football team. So at long last, the nightmare is over. All of the first-round picks have been signed in the NFL. The only draft pick, I believe, that hasn't been signed is Quinshon Judkins, running back for the Cleveland Browns, dealing with some off-the-field stuff. So he hasn't signed yet, but I believe all other draft picks have now been signed. Typical Bengals fashion, finishing last, so to speak, and creating a national storyline with Shemar Stewart. But at the end of the day, it gets done, and it gets done early enough, right? It's still ridiculous it took this long, but the fact that, training camp just has gotten started here. It's not at the end of training camp. It's not like week 1 is right around the corner. There's still some time here, and ultimately Cincinnati does get it done. All right, let's talk Mike Hilton here on today's show. Mike Hilton has agreed to a deal with the Miami Dolphins. I think there were some of us that were kind of holding on to hope as time continued to go on and week 1 continued to get closer and Cincinnati continued not to make an addition to their cornerback/safety room. There was thought of, shoot, can Mike Hilton end up back in Cincinnati? And I think as time went on, it continued to grow in that regard of, hey, possibly this could be a situation where he's back. Unfortunately, that does not happen. He will be with the Miami Dolphins. The Bengals, of course, play Miami in South Beach this season, so they will see him in a regular season game. And look, there's no reason not to absolutely love Mike Hilton and everything he did for this football team. Your two were great teams in 21 and 22, the Super Bowl team and an AFC Championship team, play away from a Super Bowl that year. He was leading your defense, right? There were certainly several guys, but he was a captain on that team, and he was unbelievable. He embodied everything you were trying to embody as a football team, as a defense, as an organization, that underdog mentality, tough. He's undersized, but he doesn't get bullied out there. He's an absolute dog. And I still think he has good football ahead of him. So it was an unbelievable run with the Cincinnati Bengals, and certainly wish him the best of luck with the Miami Dolphins. And as I mentioned, the Bengals will see him at some point in the regular season. So another opportunity to get involved with the comment section. Type your 21s in the comment section for me right now. Show your support for Mike Hilton, all he did with the Cincinnati Bengals. Go ahead and spam those 21s for me in the comments of today's show. All right, before we get out of here, do want to talk about this particular injury. Obviously, guys leave the field during training camp. It just happens. We saw it with Myles Murphy. It was just cramp stuff. T. Higgins was down, getting stretched out, right? Josh Newton was throwing up one day. Like, these things just happen as you're kind of getting back into the swing of football, and it's really, really hot outside as well. But this appeared to be a little bit more serious when you're talking about Lucas Patrick. Appeared to be a lower leg injury. No real details at this point. We will see if he is on the practice field tomorrow for the Cincinnati Bengals, but he kind of was your only guy. I mean, he was your only signing along your offensive line. Of course, you drafted Dylan Fairchild, but I think a lot of people expect Lucas Patrick to come in and be that starting right guard in week 1. I think that really is a possibility. Cody Ford certainly getting a lot of first-team reps as well. Maybe Jackson Kirkland could swing over to the right side and play there a little bit additionally, but not good news that this happened to Lucas Patrick. Really, you want to see him out there getting as many reps as possible, getting taught up by Scott Peters and seeing how much you can develop him over the course of training camp. and he gets knocked up, leaves the field, and we'll see. We'll see if he's going to be back, but obviously not an ideal situation there for the Cincinnati Bengals, but no real updates at this point in regards to Lucas Patrick. Just a lower leg injury. That is all we really know. But apart from him, no real serious injuries yet, which is a positive thing. But, mark my words, they will come. It's football. It's training camp. It's the NFL. It happens. And just got to keep your fingers crossed. It's obviously not one of your top dogs. But that'll do it for today's edition of Bengals Breakdown. Shemar Stewart finally signed, today. That was last night. So, last night into today. Great day for the Cincinnati Bengals to finally put that behind them and move past it. And hopefully he can produce out on the football field. We will have more videos for you guys coming your way here at the channel, so don't miss out. Also, give me a follow over on Twitter as well at StoneShields_.